let's discuss feats briefly and compare 3rd edition and 5th edition. And of course, 3rd edition, I mean 3.5. So feats exist in both. But the feats in 5th edition generally give you 2 or 3 benefits. This is the most common. I think the only one I can think of right now that only gives 1 benefit is the tough feat, and that gives you 2 hit points per level, 2 extra hit points per level. But you'll also note that there's no tiering in 5th edition. There's not, in order to get this feat, you have to have this. There are some feats that have prerequisites. Usually it's going to be like an ability score, or possibly at a certain level. But few have other feats as a prerequisite. Now, some of them do have proficiencies. You can get a certain feat with a proficiency in light armors, for instance, and that will give you proficiency in medium armor. And then if you have proficiency in medium armor, you can get proficiency in heavy armor. And so these things could be tiered, but they don't have to be, because if you've already got proficiency in one, then you don't need the other feats to get proficiency in the others. There's no tiering of feats. If you have the prerequisite, you can get it. You don't have to plan ahead. You don't have to say, well, I don't have to take this feat so that later I can take this one. No tiering. And they're actually very powerful. In general, they have, as I said, 2 or 3 benefits that they give you. You have a choice of getting these every 4th level, approximately, in place of an ability score increase. So usually at every 4th level, like 4th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th level, you can choose to get an ability score increase of +2 to one of your ability scores, or you can take a feat. You can't do both, but this is an option. Now, a lot of people like taking the feats, because they are, generally speaking, very good, very beneficial. But you do have to sacrifice that ability score increase in order to take a feat. In addition to this, the feats in 5th edition are an optional rule that can be disallowed by the GM. So it is not necessarily going to even be present in every game. Not every game will include feats. Not every game has to include feats, because it is an optional rule. Now, in 3rd edition, feats are not only not optional, but they are an integral part of the mechanics of the game. So while in 5th edition you have to sacrifice your ability score increase at every 4th level in order to gain a feat, in 3rd edition you just get a feat every 3rd level. Every character starts with 1 feat at 1st level, and then every 3rd level they get another feat. So 3rd, 6th, 9th, 12th, 15th, 18th. Everybody, by the time they are at maximum level, will have minimum of 7 feats in 3rd edition. However, feats in 3rd edition are not as powerful. They generally only have 1 benefit, and it is usually a somewhat restricted benefit. So, for instance, we have weapon focus. Well, this gives you a +1 to attack, but only with 1 specific type of weapon, such as the battle axe or the longsword. If you have weapon focus in the longsword, it does not benefit you when you are using the short sword, because you only get it in the longsword. The dodge feat gives you a +1 armor class, but only against 1 enemy. So if you got 5 people attacking you, you only get a +1 on your armor class against 1 of them. The other thing is that feats in 3rd edition are tiered. So you have the cleave feat. Now the cleave feat gives you an extra attack if you kill the monster that you just hit. But in order to take the cleave feat, I first have to have the power attack feat. And in order to get Great Cleave, I have to have Power Attack and Cleave. And there are many other feats like this. There are some tiers of feats that in order to get the 1 feat, you have to have like 5 other feats before it. But as it goes, progressively, each feat gets more powerful, allows you to do more. But if I want this feat, then I'm going to have to plan ahead and take each of these feats. So this is a tier of 5 feats. I got to take the first one at 1st level, the second one at 3rd, the 3rd one at 6th, the 4th one at 9th, and then I can get that 5th one at 12th level. Now, some classes, of course, have bonus feats, such as the fighter. He gets a lot of bonus feats. So he can get these more powerful feats earlier on, possibly. We'll get into that when we talk about fighters and stuff. But we do have these bonus feats that allow for this. But feats are tiered. You have to plan ahead. You have to say, I want to get this. What do I have to do to get this benefit? I have to choose. I have to select these. I can also say, if I take this, then what options are now open to me? If I take the power attack feat, well, yes, I have the option of taking cleave later. But I don't have to. But now I do have the option. Now more options are open to me. And that's how feats are working in here. Every 3rd level, you start with 1, and every 3rd level you get another feat. Planning ahead, building the character That whole phrase, a character build, makes more sense in 3rd edition because of this, because you do have this. You don't just have a collection of feats that you can take whichever one you want whenever you want, like you do in 5th. You have to plan ahead. You have to the feats are tiered. You have to say, I want to get this feat. And in order to do that, I have to make all of these choices beforehand. And some feats have skill requirements. You have to have a certain skill to get that feat. Well, you have to have a skill at a certain rank to get that feat. So now I'm not only choosing how to apply my feats, what feats to choose at what level, I also have to choose how I apply my skill points to build certain skills up so that I can get certain feats. And no, as I said, in 5th edition, you have to give up your ability score increase in order to get a feat. It's a trade-off. In 3rd edition, I get all these feats, but also at every 4th level, I get to increase one of my ability scores. Now, I only get to increase it by 1. 5th edition gives you an increase of 2, and they do that in 5th edition so that your modifier will always go up. So at every 4th level, you increase your modifier on one of your ability scores. In 3rd edition, you only get a +1. You might not be able, if all your ability scores are even, then you don't get to increase the modifier because you only bring it up 1. But you will note that whenever a feat has a prerequisite, meaning you have to have a dexterity of a certain rank to get this feat, those prerequisites are always odd. So maybe you need a dexterity of 11, or 13, or 15. So now, the ability score increase that you get at every 4th level is more strategic. You have to choose what ability score you're raising. It's not just, I'm getting another +1 modifier in my ability, like it is in 5th. It's rather, I want to get this feat. Maybe I've only got a 12 dexterity, but I want to get the mobility feat. And that takes a 13 dexterity. So now when I reach level 4, I increase my dexterity up to a 13. And now at level 6, when I get my next feat, I can pick mobility. And you get this. The 3rd edition mechanics are truly building a character. Every choice you make will impact what choices you have later and how you can build your character. There's very little of that in 5th edition. Yes, there are character builds, especially multi-classing builds. You can do that in 5th edition. There are ways to build a character, but not in the same way. But I'm going to leave that here. I kind of got onto a rant that wasn't exactly related to feats, but you get the idea. The basics of feats. Let's get back to the little summary. 5th edition, feats are optional, and to take them, you have to replace your ability score increase with feats, although they do not tier. So in general, you can just take whatever feat you want, though some do have some prerequisites. In 3rd edition, everybody gets feats. One at 1st level, one every 3 levels after that. You also get your ability score increase, so there is no trade-off. But the feats do tier. And so you have to plan ahead. You have to strategize and figure out what you want to be able to do at higher levels and make choices to make it possible at the lower levels. Your choices at lower levels will determine what you can do at higher levels because of the tier effect of the feats in 3rd edition. This doesn't exist in 5th.